I do agree with the statement. I think that it's pretty clear that environmentally, it's the most efficient use of electricity to create value that the human race has come up with. And so, on the energy side or the environmental side, it seems to me pretty obviously clean and useful. If you look at the other two, the S and the G, from a societal point of view, you're giving economic empowerment to 8 billion people, digital money to the
Mhm.
human race. So it's obviously good for the society. You're banking everybody. And then from a governance point of view, it's a digital asset or a digital network without an issuer.
Yeah.
So corporate governance or governance normally is all about fair governance. And this phrase popped up because there were companies that were thought to be poorly governed, maybe for the benefit of the family or for the benefit of the community to the detriment of the shareholders, et cetera. Bitcoin is literally without a CEO, without a board of directors. It is the most fairly governed thing in the universe. It's more fair than any country, any city, any state, any company. So in terms of ESG, it definitely checks all three boxes. In fact, it hits home runs out of the park on all
Yeah.
three. I probably just make one more point here, which is like if you're concerned about ESG, right? You really ask the question, what is a universal entitlement to the human race? Like the most ESG friendly stuff is clean water,
Yeah.
power, bandwidth, like internet access, steel, functioning materials, transportation, and just pure energy, food. So these are things that life is based on. And so if you want to create a civilization, and the Romans knew this, a famous historian, he said, I admire the Romans for their aqueducts, their roads, and their drains. And you think about this, oh, really, drains? Well, the aqueducts brought water to the city, and the
Mhm.
normal consequence, of course, is the city population grows by a factor of 10. And without the water, you can't flush away the waste byproduct, and so everybody dies of typhus or some cholera, some awful disease. So you need the water, and then you need the roads to be able to move, right? And then the drains carried away the waste, and they carried away the wastewater and also shed water so that the buildings didn't collapse and kill everybody. So if you think about that, an aqueduct is ESG friendly. It's very expensive to build the first one, and Lord help you, and it's hard to build the first one. I mean, no one else could figure it out. That's why the Romans dominated, because no one else could figure it out. And then after the Romans disappeared, people forgot how to do it, and the civilization collapsed. And 90% of the people died in some of these cities because you run out of water 3 days and you're dead. So I think if you think about Bitcoin in the same framework, it's a digital energy network. It is providing the ultimate gift, which is
Yeah.
clean money to go along with your clean air, clean power, clean food, clean water. And what happens if the water is dirty? We die. If the air is dirty, we die. If the food is dirty, we die. If the money is dirty, it kills us, right? The money is dirty right now. And you want to see what happens in an environment where the money is dirty, just go to, any economy where the currency's collapsing, like all those people in Lebanon that are robbing banks to try to get their own money back. They
I,
don't count the number of people that commit suicide probably after they get wiped out from that, but it's quite a lot. So I think anybody that really cares about ESG ought to care about a fair, equitable monetary network and establishing a stable financial foundation or monetary foundation for the human race to stand on. There could be nothing more important at this stage, I think, short of just don't nuke us all, right? as long as we don't explode in a nuclear.
Well,
Sound money creates chaos and foolishness. The definition of foolish is short-sighted, and chaos is uncoordinated. So foolishness and chaos is what you get when you have unsound money that's collapsing. And when you have a shared sound monetary network, which is what Bitcoin represents, you get the opposite. You get rational order, right? We're orderly. You're going to get trade through time and space, right? I can now afford to invest. I can build something for the next 3 years to sell you for a lot of money in the fourth year, and I can find a way to finance it. And I don't expect the society to collapse in 4 years. So I can make long-term investments. I can do long-term research. I can defer gratification, and then I can transfer my capital from me to you for the next year because it's fair and I'll get a fair return on it. So you get rational behavior by producers and by savers. You get trading. If I could trade cross borders, that's a big deal. Being able to trade with everybody, right? I mean, every country is not trading with everybody. We have massive inefficiencies because we can't trade with China right now, right? So if you want to fix it, you bring down the trade barriers, and then you can trade. And the ideal network would allow you to trade with anybody over any domain at any frequency for any period. And that's a big idea. Like any frequency, how do I trade 1,000 times an hour between 100 countries? Now that's impossible. How do I trade with someone in another country where the duration of the contract is 6 years or 60 years?
mm-hmm.
Like what, for example, there's a joke, you're going to give someone a loan for 100 years when the payment is in a fiat currency that's collapsing. That makes no sense at all. So it's impossible to do that. But what if the trade wasn't in the currency that was collapsing? What if it was in Bitcoin,
Mm-hmm.
something that's scarce? So in a sound environment with sound money and a technically proficient monetary network, then I think you get high frequency, high bandwidth trading over long durations with a bias toward rational action. I'm not saying everybody would act rationally because some people are still stupid and do stupid things, and we can't always agree on what the rational behavior is. But the bias is toward rational action because over time, the rational actors will accumulate the capital and the irrational actors get squeezed out of the system. Mm-hmm. In an unsound money environment, the irrational actors accumulate the capital. Mm-hmm. The rational actors sometimes are being squeezed out of the system, and everybody learns that if they don't actually influence a politician to give them some unfair advantage, they can't get ahead. And so instead of investing all my time in figuring out how to build goods and services and products that people need, I invest all my time trying to figure out how to manipulate the political system to get an unfair advantage to steal from someone else. In essence, you have the rise of the parasite class.
Yes.
Politicians and lawyers and lobbyists that are manipulating the public in order to give themselves an advantage. And it gets so bad that even if you're a creator, you still have to hire lobbyists and lawyers to protect you from the other parasites. So large portions of the economy are diverted to parasitic activity. And when you have a sound monetary system and a sound monetary asset, then the tendency is toward the opposite.